Alrighty, well, I'm joined by meteorologist Sam Kantrow from WTNH. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Okay, so we're joined by Sam here today, and we're going to be talking about the daily life of a meteorologist and some background on Sam and how he got this far in this industry. So.
Okay. All right. Well, hit me with the questions. I'm ready to go.
Sure thing. Alrighty, so how did your love of weather begin, Sam?
Well, I've always loved weather, and I feel like a lot of meteorologists always have the same sort of story, you know, like we were a little kid and we kind of had an interest, you know, and I'm sure you have a similar one too. So for me, in Hamden, Connecticut, I'm from Connecticut, there was a tornado that touched down when I was a little kid, and I don't remember it that well, but I do remember that it affected my family a lot. As the tornado touched down across the street from our house, apparently it took a lot of the trees out of our neighbor's yard. My mom and I were playing. I didn't remember. We were playing in the front of our house, and she said she heard a sound. Of course, sounded like a train or a Mack truck coming through. We live in an area where that wouldn't really normally happen. And so I just always remember them telling me the story that we were playing there, and all of a sudden she stood up and all the trees were missing and had disappeared. And that just kind of stuck with me. And my interest in weather really started at a very young age, like many meteorologists do. And that continued, obviously, into college, going to school for meteorology. And here I am today in a studio with this job. So yeah, it's been a long road, but it's been a lot of fun.
Right, yeah, a lot of the storms have remained in your memory quite a lot. So, all right, well, so where did you study atmospheric sciences?
I went to school at Western Connecticut. My degree is in meteorology. Obviously, the broadcast side of it, I got a degree in operational meteorology and weather forecasting. So not as much the theoretical meteorology, but obviously being able to do a forecast short-term or rather long-term. But I knew that you know, I knew meteorology was what I wanted to do. I didn't really know that it was going to be broadcast meteorology until I was in college. Actually, not even until I was a senior in college, when I kind of said, I'll stand in front of a green screen and see how this goes. And up until college, I was pretty shy. And then when I got into college, I started to get a little more outgoing. Stood in front of a green screen, did a weathercast, and I said, this doesn't seem too bad. I could probably do this for a job. And so it sort of stuck. So.
Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. Actually, you know, they go through college and then they, you know, think of their concentrations, what they want to do, and next thing you know, here it is.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, so now tell us, what is really the daily life of a meteorologist? Because a lot of people, you know, watch on air, they're like, oh,
sure,
anybody could do this, but you know, you got some sleepless nights.
Well, and
right?
I think the biggest part about being a meteorologist on TV is that you're always doing this job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you're in the studio or you're out of the studio. You know, if I was just talking to one of our interns a few minutes ago, and I said, you always need to know what the weather is like, because people will ask you, they will see your face and recognize you in a grocery store, and they'll ask you questions about the weather. And if you don't know the answers to those questions, you're not in good shape, you know? So we're always working even when we aren't working, and especially with social media, things have changed so much where now it's, you need to be constantly on your game and constantly updating stuff. Even if I don't work on Mondays and Tuesdays, those are my days off, I'm still updating Facebook, I'm still updating Twitter with as much weather information as I possibly can, not as much as I'd like because I'm not working on those days. So as far as the daily life is concerned, I think what the public sees is so much different than what we are actually doing. 95% of what we do is not what people see. They see us on TV for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, a minute, 50 seconds, you know, or for a tease for 10 or 15 seconds. But what they don't see is that we spend hours creating a forecast before that. And we spend days keeping ourselves up to date. So when I come back from vacation, I spend hours saying, what's the weather been like over the last week or so that I can get a better indication about what the weather is going to be like coming up. Biggest part about the job, as you know, going to school for meteorology, is actually getting that forecast put together. Right. You know, that's reading the book. The book report is what you do on TV for a minute or two, telling people, hey, it's going to be hot, it's going to be cold, whatever. But the hardest part about the job is getting the forecast. And especially somewhere like Connecticut, which is in New England, the weather is always changing. And so it's always unpredictable. And as a result of that, it keeps us guessing. So that can be difficult, especially for forecasting. And that's why people always make the jokes about, you know, meteorologists and weathermen, you know, doing that. But nowadays, 99% of the people you see on TV are meteorologists. They have degrees. They're not weathercasters. They're not you know, having somebody else give them the forecast information, because that's the change in times, you know, so we have to constantly be knowledgeable in that.
Right, it seems like the industry has sort of widened since the 1990s, where it was more, you know, you had some broadcast meteorology, you had some, it wasn't even degrees, right?
Yes, exactly, just people who were, that's where the term weatherman came from, you know. So when people say, hey, you're a weatherman, weatherman. Sometimes I'm like, well, I'm a meteorologist actually, but I do talk about weather on TV. That's my job.
Right.
So yeah, the broadcasting part is sort of a small part of what we do, but as far as on a daily basis, it's making the forecast, then obviously getting graphics together. Even before getting the graphics together for on air, we're updating the website stuff, putting things on social media. I have something on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram every single day before I even walk into the building. And that's part of our job. It's an important part of what we do. And then obviously the being on TV part is the last part that most people see, of course. But as time goes on, more people see us on the web and less people will watch us on TV. It's just a fact.
Right, right. And a lot of experts say you got to have thick skin for this job, basically, because you're dealing with a lot of factors at once.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to, no one's going to be happy 24/7.
Exactly.
And no one's going to love the forecast. People like winter, people like summer. The people who like winter are angry when you're forecasting warm temps in the summer with a smile on your face. And the same thing goes the opposite direction, As you know, going to school for meteorology, and you're learning this as time goes on, because the weather is always changing and it can be so different from one place to the next, it's hard to forecast. There are days in Connecticut where in one part of the state it's 50 degrees and raining, and in another part of the state it's 75 degrees and sunny. How does a person give a forecast for that? Somewhere between 50 and 75, it might be cloudy, it might be sunny, it might be raining. People will get angry because of that. So what you have to do is you have to be, even though it's science, as politically correct as you can be, and kind of find a good balance there to be able to give people an idea about that. And even then, they will still be upset. Because if you say it's going to rain and we're going to see scattered showers and thunderstorms on Sunday, and it's in the middle of the summertime, and there's a birthday party or a wedding, and they postpone it or cancel it or do it inside instead of outside, they're going to get angry if it doesn't rain in their town. Even if the next town over, there were torrential downpours. It's a fact in meteorology, and that's what we have to deal with.
Definitely. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. Definitely.
Yeah, you do, for sure. And you have to have a thick skin when you're doing this job, because people are going to pick you apart head to toe, not only just with what you're saying, but how you're saying it, the words that you're saying, and how you look, how you present yourself. It's part of the job.
Exactly. Yeah, you just got to take it in. Alrighty, well, now we'll do a more interesting or fun question here.
Sure.
What is the most memorable weather event here at News 8?
I think for me, the most memorable event that I have seen so far was actually my third week on TV, which was during Hurricane Sandy. So, you get on TV first, and naturally you're nervous. And most people start off in kind of smaller TV markets. Connecticut's one of the larger ones in the country. We're market number 30. So usually people come into this TV market with experience. So I came in without experience. Obviously, a lot of people said, listen, this is a big deal for you to start off your career here at that point in my life. And then 2 weeks after I was on the air, I did 2 weekends in a row. I did, Saturday, Sunday, then the following Saturday, Sunday. The next week was Sandy. And so it really forced me to think outside the box, because a lot of our shows are very structured. In our newscast, we've got a whole rundown of this story, and then this story, and then this story, and then this story. Well, when there's breaking weather or breaking news going on, that rundown gets thrown right in the garbage, and you just go. So I said, when am I up next? And they go, be ready at any moment for us to go to you. Okay, well, where am I going? Where do I talk? Stand by, we'll let you know. Well, how long am I going to talk for? We'll let you know. Just talk until we say stop, and then you're fine. I was forced sort of very quickly to be able to kind of get thrown into an uncomfortable situation. Then the following week after that, I'm on the air talking about regular weather like it would be for this time of the year, and it was easy in that case. So Sandy was probably tough. We had that. We also had a snowstorm that had 40 inches of snow in Connecticut, which was an incredible time, because you just never thought something like that could happen. So those are probably two of the most memorable experiences I've had while being on the air at WTNH. After that, we haven't had any weather. The last couple of years have been really calm. The biggest issue has been a lack of weather, which has been a drought that we've got in Connecticut.
Got drought watch, right?
Yeah, which is a big deal, but at the same time, it's like, there isn't too much to talk about besides saying, hey, this is the current drought status. Here are some tips on, conserving water. And then it's, back to the sunny forecast for the next week. You don't get a lot of people complaining when it's a sunny forecast for a whole week.
Yeah, but it takes its toll as well.
Yeah, and in that regard, that is also memorable too, because it has been a very, very easy season. We had a really easy summer. This has been a very easy fall. So it's easy for us to be able to talk about sunshine and high pressure and nice weather.
Yeah,
I don't complain about that, though. I like that weather.
We'll see what the winter brings us. Well, all right. Thank you very much, Sam Kantrow. And it's always nice to see you. And thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a nice day.
See you later.